is cannabis doing for you?
Put some dog tags together, man.
Welcome back to PV Unfiltered, and we are still the #1 cannabis podcast. Okay.
Hey, that was good, right?
Yeah, that was good, but that's the ending of the podcast.
I just want to switch it up a little bit.
Is that what you did? Come on. We did this on the last one. We are still the #1 cannabis podcast in the nation, thanks to you guys. And Tommy, get it.
I know, we're just completely off right now.
What
Do
happened?
it again. Hit me again.
This is all part of the intro, just so you know.
I know.
It's all going in there.
We're better than this, guys.
Okay, guys.
All right, go.
We are still the #1 cannabis podcast in the nation. And yes,
There it is.
By popular demand, that is our sound for the intro. Right, Tommy?
That is it.
After 5 tries with other things. Well, anyways, welcome back. And guess what? We have Jackie Bryant, and she's a freelance journalist and a cannabitch extraordinaire, right?
That's
I mean,
allegedly right.
According to you,
myself.
Yes, that's not me making that up. Go on and look it up. Cannabitch.com.
Cannabitch.substack.com. It used to be a print column in San Diego City Beat, the all-weekly newspaper before it was
Oh, I remember City Beat.
But yeah, I had a weekly print column called Cannabitch. They let me do that. They let me write whatever I wanted every week. It was honestly amazing. But then City Beat went under in March of 2020, like many other things. And so I said, fuck this. I'm going to turn it into a newsletter. And so I did.
Cool.
But I also do, journalism for other print, newspapers, magazines, etc.
So go to that for the straight up news. You want to call it that? What do you call? What
do I do on Cannabitch? I do kind of quirky subculture reporting. So anything that weed touches is fair game. Like right now, I'm doing a story on UCSD researchers who gave THC smoke to Maine lobsters to see if it would distract them from the fact that they're boiling to death.
Whoa.
I know, it's like kind of amazing. And so they did this research study.
Well, with that being said, PV Unfiltered.
You never know what you're going to get.
You literally never know. No, it's totally insane.
Listen, I don't know how high you have to be to ask a lobster if he's high enough to get in a boiling pot of water to tell you whether he's hurting or not.
That's what they're trying to figure out. So they found out. So there's this woman, Charlotte, who I have to remember the name of her restaurant in Maine, but she runs a conscious lobster processing company and restaurant where she wants to kill, she believes in animal rights and wants to kill lobsters consciously. So she thought, hey, if I get the lobsters stoned and THC is supposed to help with pain management, then will it have them forget that they're dying, and therefore is it a better way to cook lobsters? So I guess researchers at UCSD saw this. They decided to engineer their own research. They just came out with a pre-paper, which means it hasn't been pre-reviewed or gone through all of the review protocols yet, but it is published and out there for public consumption, and it's local to San Diego, being UCSD. So I am interviewing Charlotte sometime later today on the phone. I actually haven't spoken to her yet, so I can't speak for her, but I know she's pissed because the UCSD researchers didn't talk to her, and she says that they didn't get her method right and that her method is the one. So now there's like a lobster THC getting stoned controversy, and I'm obsessed with it. So that's the kind of shit you'll find on my newsletter.
How could we need her on?
Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is this her?
This would have been a great, is that her?
That's her.
Man.
I have her email. I'll give it to you.
We need to get her on.
What a
for
great.
Sure.
Isn't it cool?
Yes.
She's so rad. I don't know her yet, but from our email correspondence, she's just
I want to know how much those lobsters are before they get high, and then after, how much are they charging?
I know. I have so many questions, and I was asking the researcher, like, do you feel bad getting lobsters stoned without their consent? Like, I asked totally insane questions.
That's awesome.
Stay tuned for that one. That one's still in progress. I haven't done all the reporting, but that's the kind of shit you'll get on my newsletter. I also I went into the wildfires up north last year while the fires were happening, and I camped on an illegal grow for a few days while that was happening, just to see what workers on an illegal grow go through when they're faced with the threat of fire and all of that. So that actually got selected for Best American Travel Writing, which an anthology, a book with some of the best and brightest in the travel writing biz, and my newsletter, Cannabitch. I mean, their entries, it's like the New York Times, the New Yorker, Esquire, this Cannabitch. I'm like,
Cannabitch.
I'm like, oh my God, this is, and I write for big publications too, but it's cool to have your little indie thing kind of.
Can you imagine like looking at the credits or the supporting?
No, it's going to be in there. I'm
and it's
dying.
like this, the Cannabitch, and then it's like, well.
When I found out in March, I spit my coffee out. I swear to God, I was laughing so fucking hard. It's just cool to sneak your little subversive stuff in there. I love it.
Listen, you got.
I love being a little bit of a troll, so I consider my being in that trolling in a certain set. I like showing it that you don't have to do it the traditional way, and you can do things outside of, the ivory tower, so to speak.
We're right on that.
Love
Absolutely.
It.
So outside of Cannabitch, now that we've gone that route, we got to have Lobster Lady on.
Oh, man.
You do.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
Right?
Good for you. Wow. What else? How did you get into cannabis?
Okay. Well, personally or in terms of
every
writing?
Direction of it.
Yeah. So, God.
Obviously you're a horrible person.
I'm a
so
terrible,
you gotta be into cannabis.
I'm a garbage person.
Yeah, you got to be into cannabis. They couldn't expect anything else.
I'm fully a garbage person. Well, I'm 35. I started smoking probably when I was 14. In that neighborhood.
We're in the same age then.
Yeah,
right in
and
there.
that's just been part of my life. My dad always smoked, and it was always around. It was discreet, but as obviously I became a teenager and I realized my dad rolls his own cigarettes a lot. At a certain point you realize, they're not cigarettes. Ha ha ha. And so it was always very chill in my household. I grew up in New York, and I was very lucky to have parents who they certainly weren't cool with it, but they understand normal teenage behavior, and they were basically, as long as you're not fucking up. And I did very well in school and everything, and I never really got in trouble, but I drank and I smoked, and they knew, and they were cool with it. So I had a really easy introduction to it. Went to a liberal arts college in Connecticut where everyone was also a pothead, and of course my best friend was the biggest dealer on campus, obviously, so I helped him out a little bit. I hate to break
this to you, but you weren't his or her best friend. They have many of best friends.
Oh no, I was in the room all the time. I made sure of that. But I had
you still weren't the best friend. That was your best friend. My dealer was my best friend too, but
True. Well,
didn't even know who the fuck I was.
I got it for free. I was in. Okay. I was helping, distribute some of it.
Oh, okay. So you were an employee.
In a sense. Sometimes, as I needed, as I was there. Saw fit. And then I graduated from college and I started working on Wall Street, as every good former college weed dealer does. So for
Jordan Belfort would agree with you on that one.
Right?
Exactly.
Right. So so I worked on. I'm from New York originally, and I worked on Wall Street in Manhattan for a number of investment firms for about 7 or 8 years, and then I moved to San Diego. And in that process, I had started doing freelance journalism on the side. I was doing restaurant reporting, restaurant reviews, travel writing. And I've been in San Diego 6.5 years now, maybe a year or two into it, I kind of decided, I should be writing about weed. It's a huge part of my life, more than almost anything. And so I was at the time married to someone who wasn't an American citizen. So I was hesitant about putting my name on it because we were in the green card process. So I didn't want to fuck up, obviously, his stuff, because I was being looked at as a sponsor.
How's your feelings now about that?
Oh, he can go to hell, but
I should have fucking put my name on everything I could.
I know. Well, the second we broke up, we were still in the process, and I was like, "Fuck you!" I don't care anymore.
Hey,
1-800, not my problem.
Are we still going to go through with my green card?
He got it, which is great. like, good for him. You're welcome. We divorced, and I was free to write about all of the terrible illegal stuff that I wanted to. And so here we are.
My friends, is on episode 27 of 90 Day Fiance.
Oh no, we were married for
Bryant.
years. We were married for years.
I'm just kidding.
It was real.
Not really.
It was
I'm not really
legit. He just kind of sucks.
It happens. It happens.
So
once you get into that side of it on the journalism side, are you finding like some really cool shit, or did you have to struggle? I'm just asking, like, because you obviously have done a lot of things, and then you went into the cannabis side. Did you have to get down rabbit holes to get stories, or did you find them just like readily available?
A lot of them kind of fell in my lap. I think because I had already established myself in the food and travel sections and written for every travel magazine and newspaper and everything that you've heard of. I think because I was established there, it gave me immediate credibility in cannabis. And I also think, like, I mean, weed's a huge part of my life. I'm smoking all day, every day. And I think people...
Wait, did you say all day, every day? All day, every day.
All day.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because
Check
you
me.
are.
Am I smoking?
Yeah, you're a monster.
I'm a terrible
you know
person.
What I mean? Could you imagine it? Now this is the difference. Sorry, I have to stop because these are the things that are important to me. Is the fact that all day. Have you smoked today?
Yes.
All day, air day.
Air day.
Right. So now this is always the difference between alcohol and weed. If she's drinking every day, all day.
No, I couldn't do shit.
Well, first of all, we'd have to she'd be laying on the table because she'd be able to walk.
She wouldn't be here at 1.
Yeah. And then, yeah, that's true too.
No,
we'd have to schedule 9 to be here at 1.
And I mean, you see my resume right there. You see the publications I write.
It's crazy.
I write
it's fucking awesome.
Regular contributor at Forbes. I'm a staff writer at Uproxx. I've written for New York Magazine, Eater, you name it. I write for locally, San Diego Union Tribune, Voice of San Diego Magazine. Like, I'm legit, and I smoke all the time. Like
20 years ago, doing
way.
all these credits that you have behind you, you would never be sitting here talking about how much you smoke.
No way.
Never. How great is it?
Sometimes I'm like, ooh.
But that's because you've trailed into this on that side. Now, your person 15 years from now, it's not even you're not even thinking about the fact of whether or not I should say something. And that's what's great about what's happening right now. Is the fact that
it really is changing.
Look at your
fast.
credits and the fact that you're sitting here talking about how much you smoke. Great. You know what I mean? That's the difference between using cannabis and using alcohol.
I agree with you completely.
100%.
Completely.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
it's an intoxicant. There's no doubt about it. And there's, like I had a call this morning at 8 a.m. with a bunch of real estate investors that I'm moderating a panel for. Okay, I'm probably not going to smoke before that. Like, I really need to be on my shit. But honestly, even if I did smoke and I had coffee with it, I would probably be fine. Like, I do.
You would be fine.
Yeah, I write many times. A lot of my articles heavily reported, like some investigative stuff. I mean, stuff that's like legitimately impactful, not just me, reviewing a strain. Like, I'm stoned when I'm writing that sometimes, like.
This is what we're finding out. When they go back to big artists, Picasso, all these guys back in the Salvador Dali.
For sure.
Huge cannabis. Mm-hmm. Some, if you get into Andy Warhol, maybe it's some psychedelics in there and shit, but so what? But so what? But what I'm getting at is that there's so many people functioning on cannabis in their craft. Mm-hmm. And
they're just
I can
fine,
see it.
and maybe even better for it.
100%.
It is for me.
There's a lot of people that say, especially in the artist world, musicians and whatnot, writing music, performing, however you look at it, everybody talks about now what a benefit cannabis was for them or is for them in that process. And so I can imagine too, like for you in the writing space, you're no further in your head, especially when you're smoking.
It's true. And I'm also, I've been medicated for anxiety before.
Yep.
It helps me. It keeps me on an even keel. Like, smoking really takes the edge off for me. And I think because I'm aware of how it affects my body, it gets me out of my head and into my body. And that way I can focus on one thing at a time, because I know I kind of need to manage it. I need to manage my thoughts and my behavior a little bit, because I know I'm a little intoxicated, right? And so it forces me to really focus on whatever the task at hand is. And for me, that eliminates anxiety. It eliminates distractions. It allows me to kind of like really be there. And I need that personally to function.
and the opposite when you talk about alcohol, and I'm not going on a rant, but maybe just a little bit. When you talk about alcohol, there's none of this would be here.
You're not drinking to focus.
And you know, you look at this, and I'm waiting to see, you know, because back in the day, especially like all the 1960s movies and 70s, you know, they were, Lucy, was it Ricky and Lucy?
I Love Lucy.
I Love Lucy.
Yeah.
You know, Ricky would come home, Lucy, I'm home. And then he'd go over and boom, there'd be this, pour a little drink.
It's so normalized.
And it was like, oh, you know, everybody had, my parents, everybody had this tray or this stand, you know, as you walked by the kitchen or whatever. I mean,
everybody has a little bar in their house.
A little, yeah.
I even do, and I don't even drink at home.
Little bar.
Like, why do I even have that? I don't even drink it. Literally, I don't drink unless it's social. I just never have. It's never been my thing.
I am 1,000% social drinker.
Me too.
And it's bad. It's bad. I'm not gonna lie. It's bad.
I mean, I drink a lot when I am socializing. Don't get me wrong.
We're in the same boat.
Yeah, like I'm easily egged on.
But reality is that we're not that far off. Reality is for us to come home and literally, you really got to think about this, because that was what alcohol was. It was to take the edge off. Right. It was to get home, dump your day at the door. And that's why there was always that little bar at the door, little crystal glass, boom, pour your thing, whatever it was. We're not that far off now from dumping your day. Now, understand, back at that, you know, in those times, alcohol was what it was. You dumped your day, but then you also started to kind of create some interior problems.
Yes.
Because
you're masking your day. You're not just dumping it, you're masking it.
Right. But then on top of it, the influence that alcohol has on people brings out the problem.
Yes.
More than relieving you from it. And that's where anger and alcohol,
domestic violence and alcohol abuse rates are
all this.
That Venn diagram's a circle.
No, it does. Cases. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
So now
depression, et cetera. Yeah.
There's a ton of rabbit holes on that end.
I know. And I'm thinking of products. I'm sitting here thinking of like the way, because I get a lot of product samples and I review a lot of products, especially my work for UpRocks. I'm primarily writing about products. And I mean, there's a whole world of cannabis paraphernalia that is designed to normalize it and have it at arm's length in your home, like you would a bar cart or something like that. You know, you got like a pretty little tray and you've got your pretty little bong on it and your cute dab tools. I'm writing an article for Readmaps right now about cute dab tools. Can you, even 3 years ago, 2 years ago, can you imagine like a cute girly dab tool? It doesn't exist.
No.
That's like blow torches. You're freebasing weed. It's not cute. Like, and now there's like all these cute little feminine.
And you know why? You know why? Because we are becoming predominantly women in the industry. And
that is happening.
That shift took place about 2 years ago. I think a lot of it was legalization in the fashion that we are. And
the fact that women won't lose their kids for being involved in cannabis, that's a huge, I mean, that's all of it, right?
Absolutely.
That's everything. And even just for me personally, like, there's a lot of, people can think whatever about you if you're a woman, but having that extra air of legitimacy, it just takes away something that someone can throw at, like shit that people can throw at you.
Yeah, there's a lot of examples. And I mean, we just did a podcast with Anna Simons, which is a national rugby champion female. And I'm just like she's just got to be badass. She's just this beautiful woman that you would never guess played rugby, but if you've ever played rugby, it's brutal.
Yeah,
you know. Thanks. And so her industry,
I've broken my nose enough. I'm good.
But I mean, going into her space, that was kind of one of those things. Like, you know, as a woman,
for sure,
you know, this is different. And there's a lot of truth to the stigma behind all this stuff. And it's like a guy can go out and bang 50 girls, and he's a stud. A girl goes, and she's a whore and a slut. Like that is one of those things that, how do you get past that?
I actually don't know. I mean,
you know what I mean?
I've tried.
I only got to 49.
yeah.
And
Close,
you know what?
But...
And even at 49, I was still a whore. I don't know what the fuck happens there. I tried to blow that myth. I mean, I
tried really hard.
No, I mean that, and that's the thing that when you see cannabis, cannabis has been predominantly male. The image, even though obviously women are huge in cannabis, but they're always kind of behind the scenes.
It's true.
And in the last few years, that's where you're seeing it. You're seeing look at the colors around you.
Totally.
This was never cannabis.
There's a stripper pole right there. Men can use stripper poles too.
And a couch.
Let's be honest.
That's actually my pole.
No, but it's true.
Related.
And there are cute stuff now, and that has the feminizing effect.
I love the fact that that's the direction that we're going because, and more so just because it shows you the exposure that we now have.
Well, also, not everyone wants to look like a stoner, even men. Like some people just want to fucking use weed and not have it be part of their identity necessarily. So if you give them nice, quote unquote, tasteful tools that don't have, lions and Rastafarian colors and skulls and like not everyone wants to be, have weed leaves embossed on everything. Like some people are just like, I don't want a part of my personality. I just want to smoke it. And so I think like having these new kind of tools, it just makes it more accessible for everybody, including people who, want to come and go with it, besides the others of us who are like, it's my life.
What I think more so too now is that being so open about it, it allows you to kind of show yourself in how you're doing things. Like you said, a fucking blowtorch and this, and now it's like, as far as women go and you have the availability to smoke and to consume in a way that makes you happy. Yeah. And if that is having a blinged out, Schwarzkopf crystal vape, bong, whatever it is, you know what I mean? It just makes it that much more fun. Back in the day, especially as men, it was like, oh my God, I got a fucking triple percolator bong. I'm doing this and that, like that was always, and now you're seeing that on the female side of cannabis where it's big.
And there are multiple brands geared entirely towards women. There's this one called Hello Again, and they make different suppositories for women in menopause. Yep. That's the whole company is geared towards that. Like that's mind-blowing. Like we didn't even talk publicly about menopause and perimenopause and stuff like that until the cannabis industry actually, to that point, is bringing these topics out. And menopause was something that was like kind of ignored as like an old lady problem and, kind of a forgotten subsect of women. And, and now that cannabis products are being geared towards them, it's actually just bringing a greater conversation around these health issues, even ex-cannabis. And so
how crazy
it's bringing
is that?
up
And when
all
you
this
talk
stuff.
about this stuff,
That's
how crazy
so cool.
is it that
it's the coolest thing ever.
And so when you look at it, how far do you think we are off of having, like you're talking about, those suppositories sitting, in a drugstore and prescription? I'm just saying, like when you
we
look
would need federal legalization and probably interstate commerce for that, right?
But reality is
but not far.
No,
considering where we.
But you can get them now. That's the biggest thing. Is so for somebody to understand, and I know, not that I know personally, but I know through talks that those suppositories, and there's actually
they work.
There's actually THC tampons, that are available as well, and then they work.
They do.
And there's
I didn't even know about that.
Medically, there's a reason that they do work, and that's the best part. Is that
I can explain it. Can I explain it?
And we're going to get that explained right now here.
We don't have to, but it is kind of cool. It's cool.
It is. It's
I
badass.
wrote about it. Actually, my last Cannabitch, it's called Bottoms Up, and I put a bunch of suppositories in various holes of mine. Always happy to do that for the readers. I'm here for the people. But so what it does is it puts it directly into your bloodstream, and it bypasses your entire digestive tract as well as your liver, which means that it's more potent because it doesn't, I don't want to get like too technical, but you don't lose any of the active ingredients in your digestive tract or your liver. And so it just goes straight into your bloodstream. It's more potent, and it it means you don't get high because it's
non-psychoactive.
Exactly. Non-intoxicating. It is psychoactive. It does bind to your brain receptors and change body behavior, but it is non-intoxicating. It will not fuck you up.
There you go. So now we're going back to alcohol. Butt chugging.
Butt chugging. Yes. I know. I was going to say, we're talking about butt chugging, I think.
That is the quickest way, if anybody knows about that, as if anybody has gone to any type of frat parties or sorority parties.
I've never done it.
I've never done it. I've been witness to it, but I'm telling you, it's super dangerous.
It's so dangerous.
And the reason being is
it's more potent.
It's more potent. And it's straight to your butt, so it bypasses
things go up your butt. They can stay up there. It's not like your vagina where you have a barrier and it can't go any further. Like you can put things up your butt and they don't come out and you have to go to the hospital. That's like super real. Ask any ER doctor how many times.
The whole bottle up there.
I know, but ask any ER doctor how many times they get people with like cucumbers in their ass and shit like that. That's a very real thing.
It wasn't a cucumber, all right.
Too small, right?
It's a carrot. Zucchini. No, but that's the truth is that you look at this as a weird parallel where you butt chug alcohol, you can die. Like literally people have died because it bypasses your liver and therefore there's zero filtration whatsoever. You're getting 100% of the alcohol because it goes straight in your bloodstream. Now you take cannabis and look at the benefit that you get.
Better.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And for people, I know like my wife, when she has her period, those first 3 to 4 days, I feel bad.
Yeah, it's debilitating. My first day, I can't get out of bed. I actually like budget for it in my work. Like I have to keep my cycle on the calendar so that I can make sure I'm not really available that day every month.
It's crazy. So now something as simple as a cannabis infused tampon or a suppository, come on,
it's amazing.
How is that not? I mean, this is a norm. Listen, every woman goes through this, so it should be available, readily available. If we know that this is and it works as we do, and medically we know that this works, this should be available immediately. Even if it's prescription in some way or another. And so, the downside is that it's not promoted as it should be.
No, it can't be because of the FDA not regulating it.
You put a tampon commercial on TV.
Oh yeah, there's no mentioning weed.
No, but I'm saying if you put one on TV and you mention cannabis and you have people, as they do in commercials, going, "Oh, I've used this. It's great. It's this, that." I guarantee you're talking about an unbelievable part of that industry because everybody.
And you say you can use it and you're not going to get high?
Exactly.
Forget it. You can be functional.
That's like saying I have the cure for migraines and they put it on and that now is sold out.
Well, and people don't even know this. I mean, we live in California. Okay. Things are a little bit different here, but you go into other parts of the country and there's, it's still reefer madness central. Like people don't even remotely know of some of the benefits. And I think that is honestly kind of criminal. Like what right does the government have keeping this medicine from people? It's totally insane.
Yeah.
It's actually like, and it actually enrages me. Like I can, not all journalists are like this. We're supposed to be more objective, but cannabis journalists do tend to be advocacy journalists and we do tend to consider our work as part of our activism. And I 100% fall in that camp. I'm obviously pro legalization. Like that's not a secret at all.
Yeah. And there's people, I've met people and I've been with people that are against cannabis, but they still give you the fair light.
Exactly.
And they're not.
You don't have to take it if you don't want to. It's like gay marriage. Don't get a gay marriage.
Right. And I think that's what is great about a journalist that really is true to the craft is in either direction you can go. And you can I understand people's point of view.
And I talk about bad stuff. I've gotten flack before from people in the cannabis community and industry for pointing out inconvenient truths, things that may harm the mission overall, but it's like letting bad actors or a bad supply or in doesn't actually help anybody. And so we actually need to call the bad shit out when we see it. This isn't a free pass. You know, we do have to do right by the people we're ultimately serving and giving this information to. And so like, I have no problem calling out bullshit in the industry. Like, that's
what makes Jackie Bryant.
I guess I certainly do advocacy journalism in a certain respect, but it's all with just getting the truth out there. And if the truth is bad, sorry, not my problem.
Well,
I'm still telling it.
You could be the other side, you know, not getting into politics, but you could be that politician that is saying all the wrong things to try to make it right.
Sure. I think that's necessary for a free and open and productive society. And that extends to cannabis too. I mean, knowledge is power. I believe that to my core, and bringing truth to power. I mean, like I believe that. So I'm even though I'm in favor of legalization, obviously I'm never going to publish something just to advance the movement if I know that it's not fully legit.
Right.
I would never do that. Some people do.
What's some of your best? Do you have anything that you just like, this is my good shit?
Tommy, can you click on my somewhat up-to-date portfolio? Down there. It literally says somewhat up-to-date portfolio.
I'm watching him scroll.
On my very professional website. It's so
my bad.
I publish so much that I just can't keep this shit up to date. But this is pretty up to date.
But I'm asking, do you have that one or two that
Forbes
you're just
story
like,
right there, the inside story of a Trump pardon gone wrong. This is about Luke's. I did this for Forbes earlier this year. If you go to I have almost 750,000 views on it, which is huge. It went kind of viral. This is about Luke Scarmazzo. He was he and his business partner ran a state legal dispensary in Modesto, so up near Sacramento.
Know it well.
And Luke decided to make a rap video during this time. This was around 2006. And in the video, he said, "Fuck the feds." So the feds didn't like that, and they came in and arrested him and his partner, and he's now serving a 22-year sentence in federal penitentiary for operating a state legal dispensary because cannabis is federally illegal.
How crazy is this that we literally just had a podcast with Anna Simons, and literally just did this podcast. It's Last Prisoner Project.
Oh yeah, I know them very well. I've written about many people that they've helped, interviewed. I'm in touch with the organization almost daily at this point. And Last Prisoner Project knows about Luke and Luke's case very much. It's actually it's an incredibly brutal story. And so his partner ended up being pardoned, or at least having his sentence commuted by Obama. And then Weldon Angelos, who is another cannabis clemency activist who has kind of taken up Luke's case, he was very tight with Ivanka and Jared's office in the Trump administration were handling pardons for the most part. And so he was very tight with their office, tried to get it through. It wasn't their fault that it wasn't, but at the last minute, so this is literally the night before Biden's inauguration, Luke and his family was told that he would be pardoned. I was told, I was able to print it. We were waiting for him to walk out of his jail cell. Literally, he was bags packed, waiting. The hours kept going by. And then, he sees on the TV eventually, literally Biden's inauguration. And he's like, I guess I'm not getting pardoned. What the fuck? And this is after he's already served 12 years, by the way. He's still got 10 to go. And so my story is about what happened. And the long and short of it is we don't have any concrete answers. Ivanka's office wasn't able to speak to individual cases specifically. But the general thought is, and after doing some investigating, that basically he's still just being punished for saying fuck the feds. Like, that's what it's all about. When Luke got to his prison cell, when he was first booked back in 2008, it was written on his cell wall. Some guards had written, you said fuck the feds, now we're going to fuck you.
That's crazy.
Yup. So that's a story.
That is a grudge.
It's insane.
But once again, this is tail end of our last podcast is like, how is he still in? I mean, like
it was
we're sitting here.
Legal dispensary.
I get, and that's what I'm saying is
it was legal, above board. They did everything right. They paid their taxes. This was in the 215.
Was there something more to it?
No, it's just that cannabis is federally illegal. So literally,
but did they get him on something?
No, it just said it's federally illegal. That's why he's in federal prison. So literally, every cannabis business that's legal in the state of California is technically open to this, like to this kind of scrutiny and this kind of imprisonment by virtue of it being federally illegal. Like,
this is crazy.
Like platinum vapes, it could happen. It's not going to. Since then, there have been many different edicts, but it's true. It's true because it is federally illegal.
Love the feds.
Yeah, but until it's federally illegal, that will always exist. But since then, so what's happened and why people are making the case for him to get out? They're saying not only is it legal for adult use in California, which was not the case at the time. It was just medical. But there have been various edicts and this and that saying that, we're not going to prosecute people for things that are state legal anymore. So people are saying, well, if that's the case, then you got to let this guy out.
So once again, that's a great example of hypocrisy.
Absolutely.
It's
through and through. Black and white. There's no question here.
You've got 2,000 licensed legal dispensaries in the state of California operating as Luke and his partner were.
Yep.
Doing the same thing.
Paying taxes. And totally above board.
Right. Above board. And they're remaining open. And because of something like this guy is still sitting in prison.
It's insane.
And, obviously he has a beautiful daughter.
He does. She's 18 now. I mean, he missed her entire childhood. It's completely insane. And I was very fortunate. I got to speak to Luke in prison over the phone, over several different phone calls. And he was really open with me and we had a number of really great conversations. And hopefully, these things take time. But just a few weeks ago in a press conference, Biden's press secretary did mention Luke by name specifically. It's on their radar. Weldon, his activist kind of handler, is all over the new administration trying to lobby for more cannabis prisoners to be released. So it could happen. Biden himself, and I mentioned it in the piece, Biden himself says that he believes no one should be in prison for marijuana. So
that's the president, guys.
Do Luke. Do him.
Right.
Do it. You said it, buddy.
For everyone Luke, there's 1,000 behind him.
Yes, there are 1,000 and mostly non-white people. And they get thrown in jail for weed, even still to this day, in disproportionate amounts, even in jurisdictions where it is legal.
And that was another big part of our podcast, was talking about the racism that's involved in cannabis.
Of course, yes.
So I mean, it is, so that's
a story
I'm glad this is one of your favorites.
It was very meaningful for me. I have almost 1 million hits on it. It did very well. I know
obviously it does hit home for a lot of people.
It does. People, because I don't think people, we've just been programmed to think drug dealers bad, weed bad, drugs. It's just this whole lexicon of misinformation. And I think when people read stories like this and they read humanizing profiles, they're like, oh shit. That's actually really fucked up. Yeah. And maybe it's not, this isn't what I thought it was. It really makes people who are, for me, this is obvious, right? And we deal in cannabis every day. We know that there are very good people in cannabis. We know that there are normal people in cannabis, that it's just an industry like anything else. It's no different than anything else. But for people outside of that world, they obviously don't think that. And they're still steeped in the propaganda. And so these humanizing profiles really do have an effect on policy. They have an effect on public perception, and they that's what's going to change things in the end, that and political actions. So that was really meaningful for me, and I was pleased that it did really well. Another story I did along those lines, for SF Gate, a news website up in San Francisco. It's a story about Johnny Casale, who is a grower in Humboldt County, in southern Humboldt, just outside of Garberville. Now, his mother was a back to the lander. So she was a San Francisco hippie who moved up to the woods in the 60s and started growing weed, which is where all of cannabis cultivation in the United States comes from.
All started.
Yep. And she taught him how to grow. She has her own cultivars, some of which I am blessed to be growing in my own yard here in San Diego. Very cool. And so in the late 80s, early 90s, Johnny, by that point, was in his early 20s, and he started growing as well, taught by his mother. Obviously, this was illegal, and he got busted by the feds, did 8 years federal pen in Lompoc, up in the Central Coast. And now he's out. He did his time, and this is the farm he grew up on, the farm he got busted on. It's now legal. And he just received Humboldt County's first tourism license to tour the farm.
How crazy is that?
I mean, it's and he is the most... I've stayed at his home. I know his girlfriend. They've treated me very well, and I've gotten to know them. And it's none of it's lost on him. And he didn't snitch while he was in prison, so he's very much a hero of the community up there. He's really a steward of the plant and does so much to lift the community around him. So that's another story that really means a lot to me, and just shows the full arc of this industry and this culture and the struggles that have endured, because a lot of that is behind closed doors. And if you're not in it, you don't know about it.
Right.
But, that's the first time people who are not steeped in it are like, oh shit. Like, you couldn't put a face to a name of someone who went to jail for cannabis necessarily. Right. So now people can. And that humanizes it.
15 years ago, people were going in nonstop.
No doubt.
And at that time, honestly, a lot of people were like, oh, yeah, he's, he smokes weed, or he's dealing, he's this, he's that,
you're a drug dealer.
Right.
Like,
so be it. Now those same people, there's a correction that is taking place in front of our eyes, where those same people go, wow, that I was fucked up for even thinking that. Like that's someone's father, that's someone's mother, that's someone's son, that's, this. Yeah. And it was just weed. Yeah. It's like crazy. It's like, wow, it was
Johnny's
just weed.
Mom died when he was in prison. And for what? He had to miss all of that for fucking what? And now, and that's not lost on him either. Now he's legal and licensed. And I know it's a mind fuck for him. I know he's just like.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And I imagine a person that's been sitting in prison for 10 years, 10 years, and gets out, and this timeline of their life is gone, not to be gotten back. And then they're still in the industry, even more solidified than you could ever imagine. There's got to be huge confusion on. I think so.
I wouldn't dare
what
speak
this whole
for anybody, but
no, I'm just saying,
it's bewildering. It's a whiplash, right? I mean, even just this morning, like I said, I was on a call with a bunch of real estate investors, and I'm moderating a panel on commercial real estate and cannabis. Like what? Like since what? Like it's just a trip that any of this even exists. And I come from a commercial real estate background when I worked on Wall Street, and it's just like to be sitting there 10 years later talking to the same people I was probably like investing with. And it's all legal and it's all legit. And we're talking about, investment metrics and stuff. It's like, I still know people slinging weed in turkey bags. Like, absolutely. It's wild.
No,
it's a whiplash.
And that's the truth. But how fortunate are we to be sitting here doing this? And if you're not in the industry, you wouldn't understand it. Yeah. If you are in the industry in the latter part of it, you kind of get it. Mm-hmm. But if you've been in the industry as long as a lot of us have, it's beyond fucking amazing.
It is.
You know what I mean? And even the people that, that are working with us here, a lot don't get it. Yeah. They don't understand how grateful we are to be able to pull up in your car, walk into your office, and have 100 and something employees,
and not be afraid that the cops are going to come in
and
not be
afraid that the cops come in. Yeah. And the same thing. We were raided right here at this facility. I went to jail. Right here. And a year later, almost to the day, same facility licensed.
It's insane. It's unbelievable.
It is.
Truly.
All the things that they took from us, we got back. No charges filed. It's like, and that's great, because that's how I feel like for us, we were on the tail end of just all the garbage that was going on. And that's when the feds kind of raised their hands and said, listen, you guys at the state level need to handle your business.
Yes.
And
that's exactly why people are saying, like, Luke, like, let him out. You know?
And that's why there was no convictions. And, they just go, look, I think everybody at this point, even, I've talked to officers as well. They're just like, and we're doing this because we get extra money on the side, and is what it is. And I said, I don't know. I mean, you got to sleep with yourself at night, and if you're okay with that, so be it. I get it. I mean, on my end, I could never. Yeah, I mean, I could
get it. To be, it's like go do anything else.
I mean, I could. Yeah, but on the other hand, it's moving. It's moving fast, and so it's allowing people like yourself to really get into this good stuff. And expose it. And feel comfortable about doing it. But then, and that's on that end. But then the other stories that you have out there that are just like, the not the dark side of cannabis, but exposing some of the amazing things that are going on with cannabis that other people wouldn't. They'd be like, no, I don't want anybody in here. I don't want people to see what I'm doing. Oh yeah, no, I've been private.
I've been very lucky to get access. Yeah. Like I have a good network up in the Emerald Triangle. I hang out up there a lot. I will be writing my book on the Emerald Triangle. I've been very lucky to some extent, to the extent that they let me to be, kind of allowed into that world. They trust me because I get it, and I'm not going to fuck them, and I don't want to do that. And I do think that cannabis justice is a social justice issue and a million other things. And so, no, I've been very lucky to see things and use my own discretion about what I can expose and what I can't. And I think because I have chosen wisely, that I continue to get that access.
And it's probably why you're still alive.
It's definitely while I'm still alive.
And
trust.
Listen,
there are some stories I will never repeat. I will take to my grave, truly, truly, truly. But I've been in some fucked up situations.
I have.
Mom,
as well.
Dad, I hope you're not listening. I swear I'm fine.
I have as well.
I'm safe out here in California. They're like, what the fuck?
And I will tell you that any movies that you see on the Emerald Triangle, the good ones are probably, a lot of it is true. The bad ones, you will never understand the reality of what it's like. And I can tell you, in the beginning of what we were doing here, I was the curator. I was the one going up to Garberville. Garberville's not a place to...
Can't just walk in and say, where the weed at?
No.
You'll get fucking
because...
shot.
Yes. And that's what will happen.
Oh, for sure.
There, just being honest, there's a lot of people that have gone missing.
Yes.
And there's movies on this stuff. And
legalization has not stopped that.
Right. No, not at all.
It's just created another channel, it happens differently.
Yeah. And that's one of the darker sides of this. And I can tell you from personal experience and we've had some moments up there that, once again, you don't walk into, especially Garberville. Not to name out Garberville, but
it's a lovely town with wonderful people.
Amazing background history, and I cannot wait because right now
that's going to be my book, by the way.
Because right now, the history of Garberville and the Emerald Triangle is all old mining, and so that's the history. But guess what? The real history now is cannabis.
Yes.
And how those little mining cities have turned into unbelievable cannabis corporations that are not incorporated.
No.
And some are.
Some are.
But there's some amazing stuff that I can't wait. We're probably at least 20 years away from getting some amazing stories. And I'm not talking about death. I'm talking about just the transitions, just the generations of stories, families through those hills and what has gone on. And I'm not talking about the bad stuff. That's there. I'm talking about the amazing shit that has gone on and what they've done to sustain the cannabis side way before anybody else, on a level that most people have no idea.
Truly.
No idea. And how much that mountain range has supplied not just California,
the whole country.
But
it continues
to for flower
to this day. If you are buying flower in New York, it is coming from California.
The demand, and that's why legalization
not that
is
legal
huge.
Ground shit in the medical dispensaries, but if you've got a guy, it's coming from California.
And listen, these are things that you can't make up. And when you talk about some of these stories you have and the places that you've been able to get into, and the same thing, for myself and the things that I've seen and the places that I've toured up there. It's unbelievable. And there's a ton of stories behind that, but that's the latter part of what we're doing, is that background of cannabis. I mean, it's like so exciting if you're doing this. It's so exciting to be able to, I don't want to say expose, but
no, just bring to light, I think, is a different way of saying the same thing, and I'm in the middle of putting together and selling my book. I have an agent in New York. I mean, and I have had several growers up north who, on recommendation from other people who have said that they trust me, gotten to know me, they said, we're ready to talk. I said point blank, I said, how come I get to tell this story now? And they're like, we wouldn't talk until now. No one would, but now we're ready. That's cool. Yeah. Like for a journalist.
And so the things that you kept under your wing from those many years of exposure to things that a lot of people didn't get is now allowing you to really come to light.
It's incredible. And it's humbling.
Some stuff
I take it very seriously.
And these guys here, they have no idea. They have no idea.
I take it very seriously. It's incredibly meaningful for me. And I know that to some extent I have these people's lives in my hand. I mean, they are coming out with stories and things that they did that were illegal. And there's no, the IRS could come back and nail them for years past and calculate their earnings from years past and say, oh, guess what? Actually, there's a lot of there. Even with going legal, there's so much exposure there, and these people do not trust the government. I mean, these are people who helicopters have come into their backyards. Just this morning, I'll show you a picture on my phone from a grower in the Emerald Triangle, just outside of Garberville. Let me see if I can obscure the name of it, but you can see there's a helicopter in his backyard right there, and it's a legal grow. They're just checking it out. Can you fucking imagine a helicopter, a police helicopter, just coming into your backyard to just survey the scene, and you're legal? It's completely insane.
It is.
Like, I'm going on a total tangent, but it actually makes me crazy.
But that's the truth. And so that's, in a weird way, that's what's exciting about what everybody has to look forward to in the upcoming 10, 15, 20 years.
There's so much they don't even know about, which I love.
And the greatest thing too is that most people in cannabis don't know about it.
I know. Which it's important. They need to know.
Which makes it super exciting for people, because everybody's thriving on the knowledge of all this. Yeah. And they don't realize that literally cannabis started in the hills of California.
Sure did. And it's still going.
Right.
Against all odds. It's a tough go. These small growers are getting fucked. They are getting fucked.
When they find out just the weird, things that have gone on, and back in the day when they would have so much trim and all the biomass that came from just wanting to just get the flower. And every large cultivator owns a backhoe. Yeah. And they would literally just dig giant holes and bury it. Mm-hmm. And now they're getting
there's a byproduct market.
$600 a pound just for the trim.
I know. It's a trim.
We were getting it in truckloads for free. Yeah. They were actually, our first beginning, they would pay us.
No way. Yeah.
They would pay us to take the trim out.
Take it.
Yeah.
That's so cool. No, it's I'm going up there next week, actually, with a former podcast guest of yours, Lindsay Meharry.
Oh, had a great time with Lindsay.
She's a very good friend of mine. We do a series on Instagram. Oh,
that sounds like
we're a nightmare. We're a nightmare. I mean, we're real fun. Don't get me wrong.
Wow.
Oh,
there you go.
There she is. Oh yeah. So we have the Unrolling series on Instagram, where we take pre-rolls and we rip them open, which nobody does, because you're paying for a pre-roll, you're not gonna then rip it open, you're just gonna smoke it, and we investigate what's inside and find out whether it's garbage or not.
Now, going back to this, look at the bong to the left.
Oh yeah, where is that? It'll come back on in a second.
Yeah.
That's thing's crazy.
That's not a guy bong.
No,
We were talking about this earlier. You know
it's
what I mean?
Indestructible. I forgot the name of it, but like we tossed it against, like you can't break it. It's and then that bong on the right. So we filmed this in Tijuana.
That's the guy bong.
Her husband lives in Tijuana, and we filmed it down there. And that second bong, the one that I'm using, sucks actually.
Oh, Jetwater Pipes and TJ bong.
Yeah, we don't even know the name of it. We got it at a head shop in TJ, and it's not a good bong. But the Jetwater pipe thing is cool. You can literally chuck it against a wall, and it's not going to break. Which, like, I mean, I guess good.
I mean, it is for an angry person, I guess.
Good, sure.
Yeah.
No, it's cool though. It's a cool bong. It works. So Lindsay and I are going up to Humboldt next week.
Are you doing anything out of the state of California?
Sure.
On cannabis?
Yeah, definitely. I write for national publications. I want to start. I mean, I'm from New York, so I want to start covering East Coast stuff more. I'm plugged into the Massachusetts market, and I obviously I need to find some way to cover stuff in New York. But I'm doing a real estate conference, like I'm moderating a panel in Florida for people in the medical market. I'm fascinated with Oklahoma. I haven't been. I want to go ASAP. I just want to see everything everyone's doing there. Talk about the Wild Wild West. It fascinates me.
We're in Oklahoma.
Fascinates me
and
to
we're
no
part
end.
of a large scale outdoor cultivation.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with and fascinated by everything that's going on there. And I just want to go and take it in and I mean, it's a real market experiment in action, right? It's happening in real time. I'm fascinated.
You guys want this? Go ahead, have it. You want to grow?
It's unbelievable.
Here's your license, $2,000.
I haven't written about it yet, and
Oh, you have a building somewhere in Oklahoma? You want to go?
Just do it.
Go ahead. You want to sell lollipops and cannabis? Have at it.
I'm obsessed with it, and I
that's how it is.
It's going to be one of my. I haven't started traveling again yet, but I'm ready to. I just haven't. I've been busy, and that's going to be one of my first stops. Like I need to sort of get my ducks in a row and figure out what I want to go, and figure out a story angle, something that would be relevant for people, outside of the industry or outside of Oklahoma. But I'm obsessed with it. I love everything that's going on there.
I think that's big. On our part, before all this, we were talking. We started. And we were doing on-site, we'd have store owners and whatnot, and then we would go to the store. We did. And so that was going to spawn the podcast into a bunch of off-site traveling to go, one thing that definitely is in the books is to start hitting stores again. And then the other would be, doing some really cool cultivation because there's so much we can do now for exposing that we couldn't do before.
Yeah.
And now people are welcoming, come to my grow. Whereas before we were like,
right?
Oh, there's no grow there. What are you talking about?
I know.
Grow where?
I know. Well, Humboldt County is issuing tourism licenses for grows.
Unbelievable. Yep.
It's I'm obviously speechless, but yeah, no, Oklahoma's my next stop. I don't know if you got any story tips. I'm open, but I don't know what the story is that hasn't already been written. Oh my God, look what's happening in Oklahoma. Okay, we're done with that story.
No, I think what happens is someone like yourself goes in there, and not that you're putting a spin on anything. I think you just have.
I need an angle.
I think you have this mindset though that you are seeing things that most people are not in cannabis. So I believe you probably look at things a lot different. Yeah, there's 3,000, 4,000 stores, which is insane.
That is insane.
In Oklahoma, somehow you're going to look at that in a different light that most of us don't, to be able to understand how is this happening.
Well, sometimes, and this is my blind spot, I'm so saturated in the cannabis world that I kind of forget what's story worthy sometimes. Sometimes I'm I take things for granted, oh yeah, that's happening, duh. And then I realize to everyone else who might be reading it, they're it would blow their mind, and I just think it's normal, but it's not normal. So sometimes I have to dial it back and kind of put myself in normal people brain and think, what would someone find shocking? And I have to try to remember what's readily available information wise. And so I can get lost in that a little bit. So sometimes I rely on other people to kind of tip me off to nah, this is notable. This is a big deal, because I can get a little in the weeds, no pun intended. But yeah, some of it's so that this is happening in Oklahoma is a given to me. But the average person on the East Coast has no idea about that, right? Or even in California.
There's so many pockets in the United States of people that have almost no knowledge of cannabis.
Yeah. None.
I mean,
and
zero.
Again, I take that for granted too.
So
I mean,
I could see you walking into a town that has zero knowledge or, is very light on any knowledge of cannabis and making a story of it.
Oh, for sure. And that's kind of my
how
whole,
great is that?
If you kick around my newsletter, like I anticipate that the people reading it are at least smoking weed, but I don't anticipate that they know anything about it or they're in the culture. So to
see, that's where I think
that's
where I think you could be wrong. And I say this because there's so many things that are interesting, like for people that base jumping.
Right.
I mean, there's so many people that love base jumping and have never done it in their life. They just
totally.
Fascinating.
That's true. That's a good point.
And so I think there's a lot of things that, because it's reading and it's stuff that's in front of them.
Right.
I think there's a lot of things that people like to read, like to understand.
That they're not necessarily a part of.
Right.
Totally. And so I always write with that in mind, just expecting that it's someone who may not know a lot or may not participate. And so I try to always extrapolate it to a bigger topic.
Right.
I use cannabis as a lens to talk about bigger things and other things. But I really enjoy the education aspect, and I really enjoy like the conversion aspect, like bringing people in and having them think that, they're getting knowledge that they either couldn't get anywhere else or that only I could provide them, and things that are interesting, things that like you'll go to a cocktail party and be like, you know what I read today? Listen to this. I love that. That for me is like the story.
Absolutely. And this, I'm not a big reader, but when I see things, that's what makes me read. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. That's how I am. So I didn't know anything about this. And then I've been watching as we're talking, and I'm looking at these things. Most everything that I'm seeing is something that I'm super interested in. Like what you've done is making me want to read.
Cool.
Those.
That's
huge because once again, I'm not a reader in that way unless I visually catch something. Then
a lot of people aren't.
That goes into my
So I try to.
But there's other people that can grab a book.
Oh, that's me for sure.
And just sit for hours and just read.
Yeah. That's my boyfriend and I for sure. We're definitely those kind of people. But yeah, I always like to explore the quirky, like the did you know that side of everything. That's why I like that lobster giving THC to lobsters. I'm like, holy shit, this is like the best story ever. It's so fucking interesting for me.
You can't make that shit up.
No,
like, I don't care how high you are. And that's why
I'm so psyched about it.
I'm glad he pulled that up because that shit you can't make up.
It's insane. I love it. And like, there's so many little weird stories like that. And it's just, and so for my newsletter, those are the types of stories.
The look of her is like this isn't like a
She's
gimmick.
Like, come at me. She's like, and what?
And this isn't a gimmick. It's like this is real shit.
It is not a gimmick. She is 100% dead serious.
I know.
And I cannot wait to talk to her later today.
That is so funny.
I know. It's cool. No, cannabis just opens up the world to me. And so I want everyone else to kind of share in that wonderment. Charlotte's legendary lobster pound. Dude, I'm such a big fan.
And and she's in Maine.
She's in Maine. Yep.
Oh man.
It's so cool.
That is, and that's the type of things that you have on the lighter side, and it is kind of funny, but it's also educational, and it also makes you go, wow, what came first?
Yeah, like I'm not a very serious person by nature. I'm not very polite. I don't really, who has the fucking time? But like, no, she's amazing. I'm so obsessed with her.
Literally, I don't know. I want to know, like, how do they determine if the lobster is high enough?
That's the thing. And so I will have these answers.
Wait a second, I'm not high enough yet. Pull me out. Shit. Pull me out.
I will have these answers for you. I'm in the middle of getting them.
She is that's right.
Or is it when the lobster's just like lays back, he's in a jacuzzi, and he's just like, let's go.
Well, that's what
let's go, guys.
One of my questions to the researchers was like, how do you know when they're stoned enough that they can't tell that they're dying anymore?
I gotta know. I cannot wait for this story. Like, I gotta know more about
and I love
these lobsters.
Why? I only found out last night that there's even any controversy, that she's kind of like annoyed that they did it differently. And I'm like, yes, this is awesome.
It's so good.
I'm so fucking stoked about it.
It's so good. It's like,
but yeah,
there's so many different memes and so many things that could come from this on.
I know. I'm kind of hoping it blows up. I love it. But
okay, you could have your normal live Maine lobster, or you could have your normal, or you could have your
lobster.
You could have your stoned lobster.
Well, and then there's like rock lobster. So like the memes write themselves.
Oh yeah,
at this point, right? And that's why
I sense a B-52 song coming on.
Exactly. Reed lobster.
I'm just looking at this lobster dinner price. It's not bad.
No,
of course,
$21.95.
All Tommy's looking at right now is the Maine made whoopie pies.
Is there like overnight?
Shit, those are only $5.95.
Lobster.
I wonder if I can order those.
The lobster market is artificially inflated. It's controlled. So actually, there's a glut of lobsters in the ocean in the last 10 years. There's a surplus. It actually shouldn't be that expensive.
Oh, yeah.
But because it's become a luxury product, they know they can just charge more for it. So they still do. It's all bullshit, like everything else.
It is. But listen, what we know isn't bullshit is the fact that
lobsters can get stoned.
Lobsters are dying in pain.
For our pleasure. And the least we can do is get them high before they die.
That's our thing. Let's get them high before they die.
It works.
Fucking so funny.
Supposedly, it does kind of work. But yeah,
we need to fly her out here.
So I was saying,
I bet she's down.
We need to fly her out here and do a lobster dinner.
Look at her. Look at the look here. I mean,
dude, she's awesome.
I know.
She's badass.
No, she and I are about to become best friends. Like, she doesn't know it yet, but I know it. And
you've got to let me know when this story comes out.
I will. I'm gonna publish it next week.
Yeah, you've got to let me know when this story comes out.
Oh, you bet.
Because man, this is gonna be a good one.
I'm so.
Let's get this one scheduled. You can come on with her.
Oh my God, yes.
You're the one.
Yeah, no, I got all of her contact information. She got back to me right away. She put hearts in her email.
I'm not even joking.
I'm
if she's flying, we're buying.
She's
seriously.
I'm such a fan already, and like these are the types of stories I love to do because you do end up educating people and like telling serious things. Like, people will learn from this. There's going to be a lot of science in it, but like it's also insane. Any way that you can get people to care or involved about things, I'm in. And for me, that's humor. That's something lighthearted. That's appealing to fun. Like, I just believe in fun.
Right.
So any way we can access that,
I think that's a big portion of cannabis users. This is one of the millions of little things with cannabis. And I can tell you, back in the day for me, when you talk about spending time with yourself, get high.
Yes.
Get high.
I mostly smoke alone. I mean, I smoke around people too.
Right.
But I love smoking alone because of that. It gets you into your mind, into your body.
And I'll tell you, if you want to enjoy things, and I'm talking uninterrupted, I'm the worst. Like when I'm sitting and I'm watching a movie or I'm into something like that and someone's talking, it's like, shut the fuck up. Like,
Me too.
And then I just go, you know what? I just need to be by myself.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
like that's
I
it.
Totally know
and
what you mean.
So, you know, early on, I'm telling you, and not to say it because it's a stoner mentality, but get high, and I mean get really high, to where you have couch lock.
Yes, that's required.
And right before you get to that point, hit play on like Dark Side of the Moon, or
I did Fantasia last week and it was sick.
If you've never seen Fantasia high, you've never seen Fantasia. Seriously.
No, honestly, it's sick. I'm not.
It is. It is absolutely crazy. And you go watch.
Yeah, not to sound like a total stoner, but like you get stoner rock all of a sudden, or you get why ambient music, why people like it, or why orchestral arrangements,
for sure.
Or like for instance, Tool is my favorite band, and like all the little different.
You start
sounds,
to listen to the sounds,
they pop.
The things that I mean, it could be a guy with a spoon on a cup in the back. And you're like, what the fuck is that? And you're listening and listening.
Or go for
you
a
no
hike.
longer hear drums. You don't hear you're just focused on what is that? You know what I mean?
Dude,
and then it's like, oh fuck, I gotta find out. Oh, that's a spoon on a on a shot glass.
Yeah.
Who came up with that?
Genius.
Yes. And
No,
so when
hiking,
you listen
swimming, like anything sensory, it works.
But just go on, even just for the experience to say that you did it. And Fantasia was another great one. Seriously, that one you definitely want to do shrooms. But
that's cool too.
But just go listen to Pink Floyd. Anything from Pink Floyd. Anything.
You're like, oh, I get it. Yeah.
Well, it was almost like listening to that song for the first time again. You know what I mean?
believe that.
Like it was different.
Yep.
Totally
it's
know
different.
what you mean.
It was
It's
like
different.
a wow. Like this is crazy.
I'm
Totally know
not
what
even
you
saying, for somebody, it should almost be a rite of passage.
I agree.
Seriously. Is that you spend a weekend by yourself.
Yes.
And you do like a list of 1 through 10. This is what you need to do starting Friday night to Sunday. and you have the visuals.
That's a good article.
The sounds.
That is a good. I was
That
going
would
to
be
say
good for
you
my
should write
newsletter.
that.
That would be good for
visuals.
my newsletter, like a how-to guide.
See? The
You got to
sounds.
coin us on that because George came up with that.
No doubt. Absolutely.
And then to top it all off, food.
Yeah. Well, duh.
Yeah, for
No,
sure.
but I mean, people go wrong. Listen, I've made some things while I was high that I ate and were disgusting. You know what I
Who
mean?
among
And some
us
other
has
things
not?
and other things. So
Stoner
I'm saying
food is a thing for a reason.
it is, but I'm talking about the real get into macaroni, cheese, and tuna fish.
Oh yeah. No doubt.
Unbelievable. You know, there's all these little things that peanut butter and mayonnaise sandwich. Unbelievable.
I mean, not for me, but I get it. I get it.
But these are things
fat on
and
fat.
my struggles that I put together, you know, and was like, wow, this is amazing.
No,
I'm just
it's
saying,
true.
like having that like rite of passage, like if you're gonna get high, get really high and spend your weekend and do this, and then talk to yourself come Sunday afternoon and see what happens.
Most people
Seriously.
can't be alone. They can't spend any time alone. And most people also think that using intoxicated substances is purely social endeavor. And
So wrong.
So wrong, especially weed. It can be such a beautiful solitary thing, and you really get to know yourself, and you can spend a lot of time with yourself.
If you're
that
watching
way.
Fantasia and the person next to you is talking,
Fuck that.
there could be a death in that room.
For real.
Seriously.
It's over.
I'm
Any
the
of
same
that
way.
stuff.
I have to watch movies. Like I have to be, no one can talk.
Yeah.
And sometimes
full
my wife
attention on this.
will be watching something and my wife will talk about something and I have to just go. And then I'm
My
so
boyfriend
thankful.
does that to me.
Oh yeah,
so
nowadays,
thankful-
right?
I'm so thankful that I have rewind or that I
Yep.
can just go back, whatever it is. I don't have to rewind the fucking VHS tape or whatever. But there's a count and then I just hit rewind and then it happens again. And then I go, then I do one of these.
The look, the stare. Certain things are
And then I
constants
rewind
in life.
again.
Right?
It's like-
You can count on
right.
it.
But I'm just telling you, like if you haven't done that, I am telling you, you will thank me.
No, it's true. It
You will
change
thank me.
your relationship
It's
with
not-
yourself, your relationship with how you
It's
smoke
not going to
weed.
change your life. It's not this big, oh my God, like I went and did
It
ayahuasca.
could though, if you never spend time alone.
It will,
which a lot of people don't.
It will in that way.
It could.
But it's not like going on an ayahuasca
No.
1 week trip.
No,
But
of course not.
You will thank yourself as well for just giving you that.
Yeah.
And it's not like, oh, this is addicting. It's just like, it's just amazing
not
to
at
be able to do that with yourself, and the enjoyment that you will get is, it's unbelievable. Weed, like the best.
It is.
Smell.
For me, smoking
everything.
flowers.
Oh, smell. man.
Everything.
I love
best.
it. I
It's
love
the
it.
beginning and the end. It's
I
always
love
my
it
favorite
in our
forever.
grows. Love the smell of weed.
I'm doing my first grow right now.
Are you?
I've got my 6 plants. Yep. And they're
Good for you. That's,
genetics from Southern Humboldt. Really excited about it.
I'm sure you had some good avenues on getting those genetics.
I got
too.
some really cool seeds.
That's good.
some
That's
very,
good.
very, very, very special genetics. And we'll see what happens.
This is what started Platinum Vape.
Amazing.
That's in our garage.
That's so cool.
That is Home Depot. I can't even really describe it. There's my son, Cody. Obviously, you know.
Amazing.
And there's the very first plants.
That's
so. This wasn't big corporation come in and fucking do a building. This was 6 lights, 6 plants in a garage with a Rite Aid humidifier.
That's so great.
And a Home Depot air conditioner and dehumidifier. And everything else is all handmade.
You got to start somewhere, right?
Went from this to $130 million a year company.
That's crazy. It's awesome. That can only happen in cannabis nowadays. It really
I mean, 12 years in the making.
Sure.
But nonetheless, I love that, and then it turned into some of our grows.
That's amazing.
So this is, one of our grows in Michigan.
Wow.
So this is what, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, because my son and I literally went on YouTube to learn how to grow.
So cool.
And then went on to threads and forums. And
well, those are gold mines, right?
Oh yeah, that's
the unofficial gold mines. I mean, the internet made so much of this possible. That's beautiful. They're just so pretty.
It is.
My boyfriend told me recently, he's like, the cannabis plant's not really that pretty. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
We call that an ex-boyfriend.
I know. We were
I
just
would like
walking.
to grow it just because of the way it looks.
Dude, it's gorgeous. I looked at him.
It's not easy to grow.
I got
it's not easy to grow.
Pissed off at him. He was just laughing at me, but I got fully pissed off. I was legitimately offended. I was like, "What's wrong with you?"
And that's the thing. Like you're talking about, hey, I've got my first 6 plants. I had my first 6 plants too.
I know. I'm worried that they're gonna become like hermaphrodites, or there's too much because they're outside.
Very first 6 plants, we had one that hermed, and it was because it got too close to the AC unit.
Okay, well, I don't have that problem. I'm worried about the light because I live in the middle of I have a little yard and a house, but I'm in the middle of a bunch of apartments, and so it just never.
Are you doing them inside or out?
Nope, outside.
Oh yeah, they won't harm.
They won't. Definitely not.
No, you're not gonna.
Even if there's light around or.
No, that's an outdoor grow. It's natural. It's natural.
I know, but don't you cover them up?
You won't have.
Okay. I'm also super paranoid.
Yeah. No, you won't. You won't. It's when the plant is indoors and you're directing it to grow in a certain amount of time.
Right.
So it's about stress.
Right.
And so if you got a plant that's out in, the normal setting and it's.
But even if it's like a normal city setting.
Doesn't matter because it's getting the continuous. I mean, if you took that plant from indoors.
No.
And then threw it outside.
No, and these are genetics that were developed outside.
Right.
They're
it's
grown.
a whole different program.
Okay.
But if you're an indoor grow.
I'm so nervous.
And you have the lights are at it's a certain time.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden you walk in and you go bam with a flashlight.
Got it.
Now you're increasing the chances of that.
Okay.
Because what happens is you stress the plant and it's the whole thing.
Right.
You know
okay.
what I mean?
All right.
But if you've got them outside, they're just going to grow. Your big thing is going to be bugs.
Right.
That's your biggest.
Which I'm okay so far, but I'm
thing.
preparing for that.
Yeah. So no pesticides.
No.
All natural.
Always.
There you go.
Ladybugs are huge.
Yes.
You got the whole lesson right.
The other is.
I know. I have I'm the luckiest
beetle.
moron in the world because I've got tips from you, and I've got growers in Humboldt literally texting me, being like, "Show me your plants," and giving me tips. I'm the most spoiled brat. First time grower ever. I'm very, very lucky.
Back in the day, you didn't have that.
I know.
Nobody would tell you shit.
I'm so lucky. Yes.
Nobody would tell you shit. I mean, you couldn't. There was, unless you were on a thread. Most of the threads were coming from Canada too when we were doing it.
Yeah.
But there's a beetle supplement that you can put in your soil, and I don't know the name of it. It's been a while, but you can put that in your soil, and it's a natural pesticide because what happens is that any bugs that are used to the smell of that beetle is in there, so they won't go near the plant.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a bunch of stuff. I mean, super alternatives to pesticides nowadays.
Yeah. No, I will not be
doing.
I will not be doing pesticides. No way. No sir.
But man, what are we doing?
Man, this is not even a podcast. It's just
I know.
Talking.
I do.
I forgot we were. I
do probably have to go back to work.
Well, the fuck thing is, I'm at work.
This is work.
I know.
This is my
People
job.
are calling me. I'm like, why are you calling me? Leave me alone.
Well, listen, Jackie, if there's anything else, let's talk about it. if there isn't enough time, then we got to do it again.
Let's do it again.
And I'm dead serious.
I'm local. Let's do it
Trust
again.
me, I'm dead serious about getting her out here.
Oh, no.
And doing a lobster show.
I got you.
Dead
Don't worry.
serious.
Let's
I have
do this.
already have
I already
so many
know you.
ideas
I'm so
about
excited.
this.
This is my favorite story.
See, I'm already figuring out how to put a pool up here. And then
Listen, it's gonna happen.
It's gonna-
One
okay.
way or another, it's gonna happen. I can see.
She and I are about to get on the phone, so trust me. She doesn't even know what's coming her way right now.
Just yes. What a great time.
Thank you.
And
I had so much fun.
I hope we can do this again because we got a lot of. And when you come out with your story and the book and all this stuff, like we gotta
For
be
sure.
a part of.
I'm here. I'm local. I'm
that
always
whole thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, thank you. So we have Jackie Bryant, aka Cannabitch.
That's me.
That's her. Go check it out. And once again, thank you so much.
Thank
what
you.
a great
It was a
time.
pleasure.
So PV Unfiltered. Peace.